So boom, we got Lupe here today talking about Drake because of Kendrick. So let's read this quote. It comes from, I'm pretty sure it comes from one of the over 3 hour Twitter spaces he does with his fans. Let's read. Lupe disapproves of Kendrick's treatment of Drake and defends Drake's hip hop status. And then they say thoughts as far as the outlet. The quote is, how can Kendrick Lamar say Drake isn't a part of the culture / hip hop when Drake is selling more tour dates as a rapper than the supposed spokesperson of the culture? So it's funny, and this is the thing. I tried to find a clip. There's about an hour of people talking to him about Kendrick and asking him about Kendrick and Drake, and the clips change and all types of stuff. So it's very long. I couldn't pinpoint it to get the clip to bring it here to hear the full context. So we just got to go off of just this strictly. Now, we all know that there is something there as far as how Lupe feels about Kendrick and stuff like that. And I watched a 5-minute clip about him basically saying, he loves his creativity and he has no problem with Kendrick. He's never said he hated Kendrick and stuff like that. Come on, man. Cut it out. We know there's something there. There's a lot of history behind criticism that he's been giving Kendrick publicly to where we know there's something there. I just got to get that out the way just in case anybody would say, you never addressed that or anything like that, because what I'm more concerned about is what he actually said more than just him having any issue with Kendrick. So let's get to that. The first thing I want to say, and this is just my perspective, this is not his perspective, of course, but him saying then the supposed spokesperson of the culture. He's talking about Kendrick and people dubbing him, the king of hip hop, the spokesperson of the culture, all this stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't agree with that title. He doesn't agree either. That's why he put supposed, because a lot of people are putting him on that pedestal. And this is the thing. When you think, okay, before Kendrick, before 2024, because Kendrick don't really tweet. He don't really talk. He doesn't give commentary. So he absolutely was not the spokesperson of hip hop or even the king of hip hop a year ago. He wasn't. So we're not going to go by king. Lupe said spokesperson. So before that, who was the spokesperson for hip hop? If I'm being honest with you, KRS-One was looked at as a spokesperson of hip hop somewhere between 2000, when they started doing the beef DVDs and sitting him down for interviews, up to I would say around 2008. And the thing that made me not respect his opinion anymore as far as hip hop, and this is just me being 1000% honest, and who cares about what I respect, but listen, when he said the flashing lights and the graduation wasn't hip hop, and then said, T.I. was hip hop, and T.I. was making you could have whatever you like in that same time frame. I was like, there's just something he doesn't like about Kanye or his music, to where he says Kanye is not hip hop and Kanye's music is not hip hop. And I just can't. He's outdated. That's when he officially became outdated to me as far as his opinions and things of that nature. So it was over after that. Now, when you get past that, let's be honest. Journalism as far as hip hop in the past 10 years has really stepped up. I'm not going to get into who was the spokesperson from '08 to 2017, but around 2016, 17, Joe Budden and academics became the main figures as far as people in hip hop who do a lot of speaking. Now, this is the thing. I would give it to Joe Budden before academics. I love academics, but this is the thing. Joe Budden understands the culture. Joe Budden has rapped. Joe Budden, it just period, point blank. It just goes back to the understanding of the culture on a deeper level than academics. Academics is certain people who academics don't know from the past and etc. I can't remember, but there was somebody who he was like, I don't even know who this dude is. And I was like, oh man, like if you don't know who he is, that takes a little bit away from, how I look at you as far as me respecting your opinion and stuff like that. Just like when NBA Youngboy was very hot and Charlemagne was sitting down with like maybe Kodak or somebody, I can't remember who he was sitting down with. He didn't know who NBA Youngboy was. And I'm like, yo, it's your job to know who these people are. And you don't know one of the hottest and not just a guy that's like a Go Yayo type rapper. We talking about one of the hottest rappers in the streets and stuff like that. One of the hottest rappers in the mainstream and stuff like that. Very hot. So when we go back to it, a year ago, Joe Budden was the spokesperson for hip hop. You may disagree with that, but if you disagree with that, you gotta ask yourself and put it in the comments. Who was the person who speaks on hip hop, whose opinion we respect, and is very popular within the culture and stuff like that? And even people within the culture respect his opinion and stuff like that. They value, even if they don't respect it, they value his opinion enough to respond to it in a lot of cases. I'll give you one example of somebody whose opinion is not respected when it comes to hip hop, Adam 22. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares what Adam 22 says about any rapper that's not in LA. They don't. They don't respond to it. Cardi B is never going to be upset about anything No Jumper does with her name. Never. She's never going to come out and lash out. So that's just that on that. So when we look at that, as far as a spokesperson in hip hop, we have two people that I'm going to say are valid. KRS-One, who is a hip hop legend, right? He's a hip hop legend. Joe Budden, who has had a rap career, definitely has a lot of knowledge when it comes to the culture, can have conversations on different levels than most people when it comes to hip hop. Those two people are valid. Kendrick is not the spokesperson for the culture. He is just a rapper that is rapping. He is just somebody that has a beef with a rapper right now. So he is not the spokesperson. And I'll tell you how he got that stamp as far as his narrative sticking and things like that. He took the black angle against Drake, like the Drake, oh, like you like one of these colonizers and stuff. Drake made a wrong move by saying you rapping like you trying to get the slaves free, which I personally thought was a funny line, but a lot of people are sensitive, and I'm a pro-black dude, but it is what it is. When you look at all of this music, this is not the, as far as hip-hop in general, most of it is not really the most progressive music as far as black culture and, uplifting the culture. So I'm not about to wag my finger at Drake when you got dudes like Jay Fizzle out here having 22 baby moms, but you also got people like Young and Ace celebrating after Julio Fulio died. And we also got other just a bunch of other people like Vaughn off 1700 making all this killer music, like this really serial killer music the people actually live to, and a lot of serial killing is going on in LA and Chicago and these gangbanger places, St. Louis and stuff. But I personally still listen to it. So I'm not about to get uptight about no line like that and just be like, oh, like at the end of the day, it's way worse stuff going on within rap that I still condone to some extent because I listen to and consume it. So it is what it is. That's just me. And actually, that's not even just me. That's the majority of people who listen to hip hop. Let's be honest. You're one of them. If you're not listening to just Q-Tip and Lecrae, and you listening to Kodak, and you listening to Lil Durk or anything like that, or you an old school dude, and you listen to the Clips who made drug dealer music and stuff like that, yeah, you one of those people contributing to that. So whatever. But when we get past all that, we got the black angle as far as Kendrick and people. That gives people something to rally behind, because just like the Black Lives Matter stuff, like even white people was blacking their profiles out during the George Floyd stuff, because everybody becomes a follower when it comes to those narratives and stuff like that. A lot of people are herd-minded, sheep-minded, things of that nature. And when we're talking that, what it becomes easy to say is that Drake is a culture vulture. He doesn't belong here. You're white. We don't want to hear you say nigga no more. So that becomes a narrative. And with that, him also saying like he was exploiting Atlanta and stuff like that, like the colonizers back then, like all of that stuff makes it seem like Drake is exploiting the culture. I'm not gonna get deep on that, and I will be honest, because I'm not a dude who's biased and I'm trying to fulfill an agenda or anything like that. Drake is phony to a certain extent. That's just real. Unlike you, I've watched Drake since Degrassi. I've watched him before I even knew he was a rapper. And when he actually first started rapping, the first tape, I'm talking about the very first tape, he mentioned that he rapped on a Degrassi special. The tape dropped shortly after. And with that, I was tapped in. So I've seen the transformation of Drake, and I've seen Drake adapt his personality and character and things like that. Now, I know I've dragged this point out, so we're going to put a bow on this. But really, just when it comes down to it, the point I was making right there is Drake is phony to a certain extent. But a lot of rappers are phony. We're not going to go deeper on that. And outside of that, as far as Kendrick, I don't look at him as a spokesperson for hip hop. I just don't. I don't. Because at the end of the day, he's a great rapper. He's incredible. He has a great album. Actually, a lot of great bodies of work. Classics. But all this is a beef. That's all this is. It's a beef where he got a #1 from it. His biggest record of his career. He got his biggest record from this beef. That's all this is. And all he did was play an angle that really damaged the most successful rapper right now, as far as current rappers, the most successful rapper's career. You could say Eminem, but Eminem don't drop like Drake at this point. Eminem is a super legend. He's in his victory lap, grandfather stage and stuff like that. Nothing could damage Eminem at this point. Drake is kind of at that point, but he's still active. He's never retired. He's never slowed down. Now, for everybody who made it this far and you think I'm just like a Drake glazer or something like that, because you guys really be glazers yourself, and you just can't stand when anybody has an opinion, about whichever rapper you love that's negative and stuff like that. We're going to go to the first part, which is the most important. Drake not being a part of the culture is a narrative, but Lupe justifies him being a part of the culture by Drake selling more tour dates than Kendrick. I think that's a ridiculous stance to take. I get it, and I get that there's probably a bigger context that was going on, but I have to take that at face value. So let me read it again just so we have a complete understanding. How can Kendrick Lamar say Drake isn't a part of the culture? So that's the claim. Drake isn't a part of the culture when Drake is selling more tour dates as a rapper than Kendrick. So this is the thing that baffles me, because Lupe is a very intelligent dude. He's I'm not going to sit here and lie. He's definitely more intelligent than me. He's got a better vocabulary. I've rapped. I can't, he does stuff that's insanely immaculate. So he's an intelligent dude. I don't think this is a lack of intelligence or anything like that. But to me, I just don't get how he can't understand the separation of culture and commercialism. Because those are two separate things. Those are two separate things. When we look at, what you call it, Lear Cohen. Is Lear Cohen a part of the culture? Is he culture? You got Dame Dash running around saying that he exploits the hell out of rappers. You know what makes Dame Dash more culture than Leor Cohen? It's not because Dame Dash is black. I mean, of course, I'm not going to sit here and lie. That definitely plays a part in it. But it's because Dame Dash was in the club with Jay-Z, shaking the bottles, doing the dances. He was in the videos doing the dances. He's a part of history. He was dressing the way the people from the hood dressed. Guess what? He was also hustling, I guess. I'm not 100% positive on that. But he's from Harlem. He's from the streets of Harlem, all that stuff. They know him in Harlem. Dipset and all them cats know him and stuff like that. You know, they bought their way in. And even though Jay was the rapper, Dame was one of the faces. And even though Dame is, one of the faces, Dame dressed the part. Dame really, entertained. And even now, when you talk about the spokesperson for hip hop or anything, when we talk about just talking and giving opinions and things like that, Dame has contributed a lot. Dame has given a lot of knowledge, and even then, Dame, has sparked, some entrepreneurial motivation in people who listen to hip hop and things like that. Dame is a hip hop figure. Leor Cohen was you don't really see him engaging with rappers as far as like, being in a club or doing anything that, is a part of the culture. Like he just doesn't have the same look. That's not a point that I should have to beat into your head as far as why Dame Dash is more of the culture than Leor Cohen. That's not something you should just get that. I'm pretty sure I illustrated why Dame is good enough. I shouldn't have to go into super detail about Leor Cohen. But guess what? Leor Cohen may make more money than Dame off hip hop, especially today. Dame said he really didn't make any money off of hip hop. He said it was a bad investment. He said something like that. I don't think he said that exactly. But he said he made 50 million. And I don't know how 50 million is bad, but I think he said one of the things is they give you 50 million and then you make 50, whatever it was, man. Or they give you 1 million and you make 1 million off the record, like you breaking even, whatever. But when you look at that, would that make Leor Cohen more hip hop than Dame? Would that make Leor Cohen, being that he makes more money than Dame, more of the culture and more hip hop than Dame? Of course it wouldn't. Because this is the thing. Sales, they're a part of the culture. And I'll break that down in a moment. Money, definitely a part of the culture. But sales and money don't dictate the culture. They do not push the culture. They do not move the culture in any direction as far as what the culture actually is. That's just what it is. So to break that down very quickly, when we talk about sales being a part of the culture, platinum on the chains was one thing. Getting a platinum plaque has always been one thing. When 50 came out and said, yo, I went platinum in a week with the Massacre, I was very into hip hop at that time. Nobody cared about no first week numbers. Nobody was ever bragging about first week numbers. Cass was bragging about having #1 records here and there. I can't point to somebody who did, but that's something that, is glorified in just the music industry in general. But when 50 went platinum in a week, they did a whole promotion behind it, bro. It was actually a big deal. Now, when we talk about the culture, 50 doing that then began to make everybody else care about their first week sales. So when we talk about the actual rap industry and stuff like that and how we look at it, the reason that we look at first week sales and we're so big on it now, I'm sure it's big for most of the record industry and stuff like that. But from a fan standpoint, I promise you, we didn't care about no first week sales before 50 went platinum in a week. And that's why Wayne and them cats went platinum in a week. And that's why some people speculated that some people were buying themselves platinum in that first week because there would be a huge drop off in sales the second week. That doesn't happen anymore. Even Drake is not going platinum in a week, man. Only people going platinum in a week is like Adele and Taylor Swift. That's it. You know, Taylor Swift, I think her last stuff did like something stupid, like damn near double platinum, man. Personally, I don't get it, but it is what it is. I don't get the hype behind her music, man. Bruh, and we could talk about that another day. We're not getting deep on that. But shout out to Taylor. You know, Drake mentioned her a lot in the Kendrick beef and stuff like that. Because, you know, PG Lang and all that, you know, whatever. But going back to the sales, as far as sales dictating the culture or anything like that, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, that's just the business end, if we're going to be honest. Sales. That's just a business end. The record label might be like, well, he's not recouping, so we not going to all that stuff. But at the end of the day, there are rappers like Boston Richie who don't sell crazy, that the culture absolutely loves. Boosie is a big figure within the culture, especially when we talk about Southern hip hop. Big figure, tremendous. His sales are abysmal. His sales are absolutely horrible. Yet he is still respected within the culture. But this is the other side of that coin. Because we already did the Leroy Cohen and stuff like that. We talked about Lil Boosie not selling it. And we got the Lil Waynes and the Drakes who were selling and stuff like that. And all of them are of the culture, right? When you look at somebody like the guys from LFMAO, they rapped. Let's throw another guy out there. You know, Fort Minor from Linkin Park. He rapped. Let's throw another person out there. Iggy Azalea from Australia. She rapped. I could think of probably 5 more rappers. When you look at those rappers, would you say that they are of the culture? Would you say that they are hip hop culture? And regardless, whatever your answer is to that, does them selling make them the top people within the culture? Does it make them influential within the culture? Does it make them better than Kendrick or even Boosie or anybody like that in the culture? Does it make them more influential? Does it make their opinions hold more weight? Do the people in the culture actually even rock with their music? Does it make them bet? Like, that's why this doesn't make sense to me. Because you can take somebody like Macklemore, who, yeah, he might respect the culture and stuff like that, but let's be honest, man, he is a pop rapper. He is a pop rapper. He is a pop rapper. Let me just say it one more time. He's a pop rapper. He is like, I'm not even going to do that comparison, but listen, you take somebody like that, just because he sells more and he's an actual rapper, you're going to tell me that he is more of the culture than NBA Youngboy? You're going to tell me he's more of the culture than a guy like Lil Reese, who is still in the trenches and stuff like that? You're going to tell me he's, you know, he holds more weight within the culture and he respects the culture. So I'm not trying to crap on him or nothing. This is just real. This is just real. We talk about the culture as far as hip hop, man. You know what it is, bruh. When we talking about who had the best album, like certain people just not coming up. When you in a club that plays mostly hip hop and is full of black people, certain stuff is not getting played. Now, granted, that is not the only place where, you know, stuff gets played as far as it, because Lupe is not a club artist himself, but Lupe is definitely very much culture. I don't know if you got to go to a poetry slam or wherever you got it. Like this stuff, like certain stuff is going to get played and going to get discussed in hip hop circles or just amongst, you know, the ghetto or whatever the case may be, whatever it is, bro. However you paint that picture of what hip hop is, I'm going to tell you what it's not, man. Like hip hop culture is not something to where it matters what's going on in a rural township somewhere where there's no black people and they have hold downs at the biggest bar in the city, like in the biggest bar in the city where they have country music or the town. Like that's not hip hop. Hip hop is not there. Nothing that happens there is the culture. Even if they turn on a Yellow Wolf record, this is not a place of hip hop culture. So that's just what it is. So I know I drug this a little bit, but this is the point. Let's just get to the overall point when it comes down to it. Money and sales do not dictate the culture. Money and sales do not make somebody more of the culture than the next man. It just doesn't. I think I have illustrated this point something crazy, so I don't have to drag it anymore. So when we go back and look at this whole statement, you know, there's one part I agree with. The Kendrick is not the he like supposed spokesperson. He's not the spokesperson in hip hop. He's not. Even if you don't like Joe Budden or academics, you're gonna have to name somebody that speaks it. I don't care if it's Ebro. I don't care if it's Star. I don't care if it's Charlemagne, which if you say Charlemagne, I'm not going to lie. I don't value your opinion. Like out of everybody, I don't care if you say Peter Rosenberg. I don't care if you say Bootleg Kev. I don't care if you say, what's the dude? Not Wallow, but, you know, it's a dude. He did Everyday Struggle with academics. I can't remember his name. But listen, man, like you're going to have to say somebody who actually speaks on hip hop all the time. Because we're not in 1987 anymore. We're not in 1995. You know, shout out to Big Tigger and stuff like that. He was probably one of the people that you could point at and it's like, yeah, he was kind of a spokesperson to some degree, even though he was on TV and stuff like that, whatever. But listen, man. Let's go over the statement one more time as far as this general post. He says, how can Kendrick Lamar say Drake isn't a part of the culture? Which, that's a good question. That's a good question. How can he say that? But then he says, when Drake is selling more tour dates than a rapper, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That absolutely does not matter. That is a supposed spokesperson of the culture. He is not the spokesperson of the culture. So that's the breakdown of that. The way I would rearrange that is, how can Kendrick Lamar say Drake isn't a part of the culture of hip hop when Drake, and this is honest, this is real. I know some of you are going to hate this. You're going to slam your phone. You're going to punch your TV. You're going to karate kick. You're going to say, man, fuck this dude's mom. You're going to say all types of stuff. But let's start from the top. How can Kendrick Lamar say Drake isn't a part of the culture or hip hop when he is way more influential in hip hop than Kendrick Lamar? That right there is the one. Drake's influence runs rampant through hip hop. It's almost like saying Kanye West is very influential. Drake built the foundation of his whole sound from. I'm not going to sit here and lie. So that's it for today, man. It's not hip hop yet. Listen to this whole thing, man. You know, leave a comment saying whoop-a-da-whoop. No, really, leave a comment saying applesauce, crisscross, if you listen to the whole thing, man. I appreciate you. I'll catch y'all later. Hopefully I can make some shorter videos than this, honestly.